Hi yogis, welcome back to the mat for a very special New Year's yoga class. Nina Simone, or in fact, if you're trendier and a lot younger than I am, you would know that Muse also sang, "It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good." How are you feeling today? Me, I am feeling full of possibility. We're not only at the beginning of a new year, we're also at the start of a brand new decade, and that just feels so full of possibility and opportunity for me. Today, I want to share a yoga class that's all about this newness and opportunity. It's a short practice, and we're going to combine breath with some dynamic movement to create space, not only in your body, but also in your mind. And that space is going to allow some clarity and focus for the beginning of this new era. Most of our class is going to be floor-based today, and as with all of our floor-based practices, it's good to have a few props to help you. Couple of blocks, one blanket, and if you have a bolster, go and grab that as well. Throughout the practice, I would love you to be guided by this mantra. I no longer force anything. If it flows, it flows. If it crashes, it crashes. I only have the space and the energy for the things that are meant for me. So come and join me on the mat now. Let's create some space together and make some room for the opportunity and the possibility that's coming to you in 2020. Let's begin today taking just a few deep breaths, tuning into what is your natural breath. It's kind of nice to put your hands on the belly when you do this and just feel that rise and fall, feel the movement in the abdomen, the ribs, the chest. Close your eyes if it feels good to do so. Just relax the shoulders down and away from the ears. Now, if you're finding that kneeling like this is not very accessible for your body today, you can always grab your blanket and just place that on top of the heels and sink down that way, or even using a couple of blocks just to raise your hips a bit higher. With the hips a wee bit higher, there's less stress on the knees and you're able to keep the spine nice and straight also. So tuning into that breath, breathing in through the nose and ideally out through the mouth. The big sigh. You know, that feeling of sighing out everything that just no longer serves you. Breathe out. Breathe out all the Christmas chaos. Breathe out all the stress. Breathe out whatever you might be holding on to right now, and just find that movement, that motion in your body. And as you continue to breathe, I want you to bring the toes together, but take the knees wide as we come into our extended child's pose. Again, if this is not feeling too accessible to you, make sure that you're making use of your blocks, your blanket, even your bolster, just to support the hips in this position. If you can, keep the hips and the heels together. Walk the hands forward as you allow the belly to sink down between the thighs, the space that you've created. And just walk the hands forward until the head reaches the floor. And you can just let the forehead sink down here, resting on the floor. Tuck the chin towards the chest. Maybe walk the fingers away from the body. Just for a few more steps. Make sure that in walking the hands forward, you're not pulling your body upwards, but rather think of the body in two sections here. From the waist down, everything is heavy and sinking. From the waist up, it's lengthening and elongating. Sinking your chest towards the floor, rest the forehead. And remember our mantra, I no longer force anything. So wherever you land here is exactly where you're supposed to be. Continuing to focus on the breath, allowing yourself to soften, to sigh. Really feel the weight of your body drawn down into the floor. Gravity is doing all of the work here, pulling you down, allowing you to let go of any expectation. This is what we want to get to for our New Year's practice. We don't have any expectation. Whatever happens is going to happen. And we're making an agreement with ourselves right now. Whatever happens, whatever comes, I accept it. Accept, accept, accept. Taking a deep inhale, and as you breathe out, slowly draw the palms back towards the body, keeping the head and neck heavy. Coming onto the forearms, pulling the palms towards you a little more each time. Now when you're ready, as you breathe out with a little bit of energy, you're going to roll up, slowly roll onto all fours. And as you come up onto all fours, maybe you need to make some adjustment here, and that's just fine to do that. Check between the legs. If you can see the feet, you need to move them. So you want your ankles and your knees to be in line, your hips and your knees to be in line. Take a look at where your hands are on the mat or on the floor, wherever you're practicing. Make sure that you've got star fingers, fingers nice and wide, spread. And also check the position here. You want the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders to be in line. So make sure that you're not looking down on your hands from a distance. That way you need to move forward. Or if you find that you're kind of looking back at your wrists, then you've gone too far. So pull it back. So find that sweet spot between looking down or looking back. And that way you know that you're in the correct position here. So once we find that position, inhaling, and on that inhale, let your belly sink down towards the floor. And as your belly sinks, your back arches, your shoulder blades can squeeze together and down the back, and just gently looking up. Don't crunch the neck here. Breathing out, you're going to tuck the pelvis, tuck the tailbone, rounding through the spine. Push through the palms to make space between the shoulder blades. Look between the thighs as you drop the head and really feel that stretch across the mid-back. Inhale once again, allowing the belly to sink down towards the floor, feeling the chest open as you squeeze the shoulder blades and gently looking upwards. Repeating again, breathing out. And you must follow your own breath here. My breath's going to be very different to yours. Your breath's going to be different each time you do this practice. So if your breath is feeling kind of slow and deep today, then this movement's going to be pretty slow and deep. If you find that your breath is quite shallow, then maybe this movement is going to be faster to begin. But gradually, as you keep moving, it's going to slow down. On the next inhale, you're going to sink down, squeeze the shoulders, and this time just holding the breath just for a moment, a second or two, retaining, holding, and then breathing out, rounding, creating space between the shoulder blades, space in that upper section of the spine. Holding here this time, holding the out breath. And inhaling. We're just going to do one more of these. Holding as you get to the top of the breath. And exhale when you're ready. Breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. coming to a neutral spine. You're going to take the right leg behind you. So readjust your position, make sure that you've got enough space around you. Taking an inhale, pull the knee into the chest. As you exhale, extend that right leg back, push the toes down into the floor. And there's a lot of room in this practice for just exploring the space in your body. So just pressing the toes into the floor. Imagine you're trying to get your heel down into the ground and then pushing back up through the toes, keeping the leg nice and strong. Press through the palms here. So don't allow yourself to just hang in the shoulders. It's quite a strong movement if you're engaging everything correctly. And holding here, stretching and moving, breathing for a few moments. You're going to raise that right leg up and you're going to step it across the left leg. Oh, I didn't quite leave myself enough space there. We're going to step it across the left leg. As you step it across, turn your gaze to look at the back foot. Now, as you look at your back foot, really push through the wrists here. Keep that leg strong, and you should be feeling a nice opening in this right side of the body. So we're looking, and then you're just going to step it back. But this time as you step it back, I want you to sweep your leg all the way out to the side, bringing the foot to meet your hand. Now, there's a good chance when you do this the first couple of times that you're going to sweep your leg and it's going to get to about here. That's fine. You can help. Just walk the foot. You can caterpillar walk it into the right position as well. So wherever you land, that's absolutely fine. And then you can make any adjustment that you need to make. So we're going to sweep the leg around, stepping into this position, into a little mini lizard pose. Let the knee sink forward. Feel your hips get heavy. See if you can keep the torso, the upper body, quite upright here. And if you're finding that you're struggling with this, you can always grab a block here to help to keep you nice and long and lengthened. We're going to swing here just for a couple of moments. Just back and forward, maybe side to side, whatever feels good. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to slide or lift if you're feeling extra energetic today. Stepping that foot back and take a little look at your foot. We're going to repeat again, lifting and sliding all the way around into that nice lunge position. Just wriggle the hips and move the body in whatever way feels good here. Stepping back, slide or lift, it doesn't matter. Step and feel that stretch into the right side of the body. Let's do one more because it just feels so good. And feeling that just stretch and move here. So we're going to hang out in our sometimes called lizard pose, sometimes called gecko. So your hips are sinking down towards the floor. This is not about forward motion. Let your hips sink down towards the floor. You can tuck the toes of the back foot under and even just step your leg out a little bit here. Holding here, you're going to feel a compression into the hip socket and you're looking to feel that compression. Now again, remember, we're not forcing anything, we're not pushing. At this point, grab a block, a cushion. If you've got a bolster, you can grab your bolster and just sink your forearms down to the floor. Breathing deeply. Ooh, really breathe into the hips here because they need it. Just going to hang out in this really quite powerful position. You can look out at the world if you have a lovely view like I do today. You can look at this beautiful sunshine. Or you can go inwards a little more focusing your breath on wherever you feel tightness or tension, whatever doesn't feel so good today. Just breathe into it and release. You can take the bolster out of the way. And we're going to move into another dynamic posture. Now, to move into this, I'm actually going to have to turn my back to you, but I will move so that you can see it from the front as well. So I'm going to take my hands and walk them. My left leg is behind me, so I'm walking to my left side. As I walk to my left side, I'm going to raise my back leg up, turn my right toes. So I'm coming into a squat position. Skandasana, as it's known in traditional Hatha yoga. Now, if you find here that your heel comes down to the floor, that's great. If you find that it raises up a little bit, there's no problem with that. We're going to sink down into this pose and see if we can hold it. Tuck your elbow towards your knee, raising up the torso, really lengthening as you hold here, and think about allowing the hips to sink down into the floor. Now remember, if you're at different levels here, it might be necessary for you to tuck a block under your heel to hold this position. You can also do the same thing with a blanket. You can use just the edge of a cushion even, just to give you some support so that you can sink into this pose. If you're holding everything really, really tense and everything's shaking and it just doesn't feel good, this is not how your body's going to change and develop. So I want you to feel comfortable. Make sure that your foot's turned out slightly, otherwise your knee kind of gets blocked by your body. So holding, 3 breaths, big breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. So you keep holding. I'm going to go back to my original position. So I had my back to you here, coming into my delicious squat. And then I'm just going to walk my hands back towards the body, bending that front knee, bending my back leg. And then I'm going to push the hips behind me, straightening my front leg to finish here. And imagine that you're trying to get your chest down towards the floor and your hips pushed away from your foot as much as possible. So again, we're splitting the body into 2 parts. The lower part of the body is pressing away and downwards. The upper part of the body is lifting and lengthening. We want this to be light. Again, if you find that you're struggling a little bit with this, this is where blocks become absolutely invaluable to us. So if you're using your blocks, you can put them at either side of you, placing your hands on them, high, whatever level works for you. And this way, you can keep your body long. You're not collapsing into the position. You can feel that stretch all the way up through the leg. I am certainly feeling it today, and just feel the space that is created in your body when you do this. Actively stretching. Slowly bend the front knee once again. Just pop your blocks to one side. Hands to the floor. And one more time, we're just going to lift that leg, sliding it all the way around to our starting position of all 4s. Take your toes together, your knees wide, sinking down into your child's pose. A well-deserved child's pose, I might tell you. And just find the place that feels good for you. If it feels better to have your hands by the side of the body, you can do that. Or even to support the head, you can make a fist with each of the hands and just rest the forehead on the fists. As I said earlier, there's a lot of room for play in our class today. There's no real right or wrong. It's about finding what works for you, what works for your body right now. And remember, each time you practice, this is going to feel completely different. And with a nice out breath, big sigh, you can place the palms on the floor. We're going to walk the hands up. And we're going to repeat that sequence once again, this time on the other side. So you're coming onto all fours, finding your space first of all. I'm going to need to make a little bit of space for my leg. Finding your space on all fours. Make sure that you can't see your feet between your legs. Check the position of your wrists, your hands. Are you making those lovely star fingers on the mat? So we're going to take that breath in, and this time the left leg is going to come into the chest and then out, extending behind us. Press through the toes as if you're trying to get the heel to the floor, and then push back up through the toes, keeping this really active and strong. It's quite powerful to do this. Pushing, pushing, pushing. And just have a little play here. Really feel that stretch into the calf. You should also feel as though your quads are working, because your leg, you're pulling up from the knee, which is going to activate into the quad as well. So the front of the thigh should be working fairly hard here too. And then we're going to inhale, and as you exhale, step the foot behind you and just take a good look at that foot. And as you take a look at the foot, you're going to feel the left side of your body opening. Got to make sure that you're pressing through the palms here. So if all you do is just look at your foot, kind of look at it under your armpit, you're not going to get anywhere. Push through the palms, push through that left shoulder to really look at your leg and feel that stretch. And then we're going to lift over, slide your leg around, stepping it to come and meet your hand. And just do a little shift with the weight forward and back. You might want to do a little shimmy with the hips here. Inhale, and as you exhale, stepping behind once again. And take a little look at your foot. And we repeat, sliding around, forward and back. Keep that torso lifted and long. Let the hips become heavy. Inhale deeply. And remember, you can slide your foot all the way back. You don't need to lift it. The golden rule, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. So don't do anything silly. Let's do one more. Lifting and stepping. And when we get to our final step position, we're going to hang out here. Just for a few breaths. You can tuck the toes of the back foot under if it feels right for you. And either grab your blocks or a bolster. And you can let the forearms rest as you sink deeper into this position. So remember, the areas that you're going to feel some real fire here. The bent leg at the front. You're going to feel like a compression into the hip socket. So basically your leg bone, the femur, is pressing, it's compressing into the hip joint itself. And we want that controlled compression because this is how you're going to strengthen and lubricate these joints. At the same time, as you sink the hips down towards the floor, you're going to feel your hip flexor in here. So the muscle is going to feel like it's stretching. And those two things are going to feel really intense, and it's almost a sort of maelstrom in your head of, oh, which one do I dislike more? And this is where your breath becomes so important. Just breathing deeply, finding that calm space, the quiet, saying to yourself, nothing lasts forever. This is not going to last forever, and I'm going to be able to move at some point. Breathe into the areas that feel tense and tight. Allow yourself to soften, give yourself permission to be okay with the discomfort. And then we're going to release the arms. So you can remove your bolster, blocks, whatever you've been working with here. And this time we've got the right leg back. So you're going to walk your hands to the right side. I'm actually going to be facing the camera this time, so that's good. Turning the left foot as you raise up the back leg. You're going to walk the hands as you come all the way over into your squat position. Again, see if you can find the space within you to lift the upper body as you sink the hips down towards the floor. The heel stays down as much as you can, but remember, if it lifts a little bit, it's okay if that's where your body is just now. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. This is a deep stretch. So we hold here, finding our length and our strength. Remember, if it flows, it flows. If it crashes, it crashes. It's all right. Breathing, breathing. 3 big breaths. Inhale and exhale. 1 more. Hands come down to the floor. Pushing up. We walk back. Bending that back knee. Bending the front leg. And sink the hips behind you as you begin to straighten the front leg. And once again, if you feel you need to, just grab your blocks here and make sure that the hips are being sent backwards and down, and at the same time you're lengthening through this torso. So as if I'm trying to pull myself forward with the upper body. And it's this action of the lower body moving back and the upper body lengthening and lifting that's going to give you that really delicious stretch in the back of the leg. You're going to feel that behind the knee, the hamstrings. Maybe you'll feel it even into your butt and your lower back. Make sure that you pull the toes up towards the ceiling. And that you're not working too hard here. This shouldn't be, you shouldn't be trembling or shaking to hold this position. And this is where the blocks become really useful. So if you need to be a bit higher to get the sensation, then you go ahead and do that. Remember, there's no right or wrong with any of this. It's about what you feel as opposed to what you look like. We're going to pop the blocks to one side. Walk the hands forward. Both hands to the inside of the leg. Just sinking forward once more. And then we're going to do one more sweep of the leg. Inhale, push up through the toes. Exhale, bringing that leg back to center. Toes together, knees wide. Sinking down once again into our beautiful child's pose. Big breath in, big breath out. Take an inhale as you prepare to move. Exhale, walk the hands back towards the body, coming all the way upright. Just noticing how your body feels in this position. Have you got more space? Do you feel more open and lengthened? I'm sure around about your hips definitely feels more open. Coming onto all fours. One more time. You're going to take an inhale. The right knee is going to come to the chest. This time, you're going to pull the knee past the elbow. You're going to scoop your foot so that the knees come to meet together. So your left and your right knees come together. Turn your feet outwards and walk your body back now. You may want to place a block here as you sink backwards. You might need to make some adjustments with the legs. See where you land. If you can, sink your hips all the way down to the floor. and find how to get your sit bones even, how to get them equally pressed down. And again, if they don't want to do that, this is where blankets and blocks become very useful. You can always tuck a block just to one side to balance things out. Maybe you need it to raise you up a little bit. Again, this is quite a deep opener here. For some of you, it may be that your leg only wants to go to this position. It might not go any further. Again, be kind. If that's where your body is right now, then that's where you want to hang out. Hold on to the feet, because it feels quite nice to do that. You don't really need to, but I think it feels quite comfortable to do that. Let the knees sink down. Again, you might even find that you want to put a little blanket between the knees and the thighs just to make you comfortable. We're going to split the body once again into upper and lower. The lower part of the body is sinking down into the floor. The upper part is lengthening and lifting as if you're being pulled gently up towards the ceiling. Use your breath here. Breathing deeply. With each exhale, sinking further down. We're only going to hold here for a minute or so. If you want to intensify the sensation, you can gently lean forward with the body, but make sure that you keep pushing down through the sit bones. Don't allow your butt to rise up off the floor. And even the smallest of leans can really intensify the sensation that you're feeling, especially in this butt cheek, the top leg. So I've got my right leg on top, so in the right butt cheek you're going to feel that. Walk the hands back to the body, take them behind you, fingertips away, all of the weight coming into the arms and the shoulders. And as you release the weight from the legs, you can just slide your leg out. Slide the other leg out nice and gently. Just let the knees drop from one side to the other side. It doesn't matter if your knees touch the floor. Just moving slowly, twisting it out. And on your next twist, you're going to drop onto your knees, bring your hand around, coming onto all fours once again. We're just going to repeat this time to the opposite side. So you're taking an inhale, pull the left knee towards the chest, scoop the foot beyond the right knee, and bring those knees together. With the knees together, point the feet outwards. As you point them outwards, slowly lower yourself down to the floor. Again, if you need to make some adjustments when you reach this position, then go ahead and do so. Grab your bolster, grab a blanket, anything that you need to make you more comfortable here, and we'll just hang out for a few moments. The more you angle your feet, so the sort of straighter your legs are, the more intense this will be. And it's sort of harder to keep your, to stop your body from curling. So you want to keep thinking about that beautiful invisible string that's pulling you upwards. Again, just holding onto the feet. And give the feet a little bit of a massage while you're here as well. Feet are such an important part of us to look after. Any excuse to give them a bit of a rub. I am more than happy with. Hanging here, breathing in, breathing out, no expectation, no forcing, no pushing, just sinking and softening. Leaning forward if it feels good to do so, and remember you don't need to do much of a lean here. You can always make a little block stack and rest the forearms on your blocks. Again, Lots of experimenting with this. If it feels good to you, go do it. Slowly bringing yourself to upright, hands behind you. Shift the weight of the body into the hands, into the arms, and release the legs. One leg slides out, and then the other. Again, just dropping the knees from one side to the other side. Big sigh here. Always feels good. Creating space for what's to come. Finding a comfortable position now on the floor. I'm going to grab my bolster and place it under my knees. If you've got a couple of big cushions or maybe a blanket, works really, really well. Just going to support my knees as I roll back into a Shavasana position. I'm going to make some adjustments now that I'm on the floor. I want to make sure that my head is not chin up to the ceiling. So I'm going to take my hands just behind my head and give it a little lift and a push into the correct position. Pull your shoulders up towards your ears and really squeeze them tightly, and then just breathe out and pull them down. You can really feel the shoulders sinking into the floor here. The arms are going to the side of the body with the palm facing upwards. I'm going to get you to press into the soles of the feet or the heels, whatever's touching the floor. Just roll your pelvis up for a moment. You can even have a little rub of the lower back if it feels good here. And then just allow your spine to roll and curl down to the floor. So feel that nice elongation all the way through the upper body. Let your knees really sink and mold around the bolster. Your feet, if you find that your feet turn out or if they turn in, it's absolutely fine. Wherever you land is exactly where you're supposed to be. Taking a deep inhale and breathing out with that wonderful sigh that we've been doing all the way through the class. Big breath in, big breath out. We're just going to hang out here for a moment or two, free of gravity, free of any pressure on the body. Just becoming aware of the space, the opening that's taken place during our practice today. Notice your breathing, how it's changed since we began. Perhaps noticing some of the thoughts that are coming and going. Maybe they're a little more focused on optimistic things, on exciting things, things that you know are coming in the new year. And only when you feel ready, deepen your breathing. Slowly begin to introduce some movement back into your body by wriggling the fingers, and maybe you want to wiggle the toes, roll the ankles and the wrists. You can turn the head from one side to the other side, and maybe you want to stretch the back a little bit. You might want to yawn. If you've got your knees supported by something, I'm just going to pull one knee into the chest, pull the other knee into the chest, and just hug the knees. You can either hold the knees at the top here, or you can just tuck the hands at the back of the knees so that you can roll and massage on that lower back. Maybe making circles in one direction, circles in the other. Just rock gently from side to side. As you rock from side to side, just rocking all the way over onto one side. Holding the fetal position here for as long as you need to. There's no rush here. Breathing deeply, aware of all the changes that you've made in your body today. When you're ready, pushing up, use the hands. Use your strength rather than your back to push you up to sitting, either cross-legged or on the knees as we started our practice today. Whatever you do, sitting up tall, make sure that there's space between the pelvis and the ribs. Feel that lengthening through the upper body and that heaviness in the lower body pulling you downwards. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, bring the palms together and gently bow the head. Namaste. I think you're ready for the new year.